Hello everybody, this is Kaizen and this is part 2 of my series of breaking down release date. Part 1 I went over the bad. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Not as controversial as I thought it was going to be. And this is part 2 where I go over the good, and at the end of this I'll give my overall opinion and take on SPELLBREAK's release date. So sit back, enjoy, gameplay in the background if I'm too boring to look at, and let's get this party started. So the first thing I want to talk about that was successful for release date, a good thing for release date, was the fact that we actually got to play the game. I'm personally a SPELLBREAK diehard and big fan, a junkie. I even tried to play the tutorial during the SPELLBREAK downtime, and I played it several times just because I needed that itch. And just being able to play SPELLBREAK competitively against other players it is the best feeling ever. So now, obviously, you're gonna have to talk about that because there's so many times when other games, when they launch, you actually can't play the game because servers are down or because they just couldn't handle the amount of players that came into the game. And SPELLBREAK, we were able to play the game, which is phenomenal. It was like a breath of fresh air, basically. And I know a lot of people, especially those on the Switch, weren't able to like fully experience a full game without receiving the black screen of death, or other people had a miserable time because the game isn't like fully optimized on their platform. But all I gotta say is just stick with it. Hot fixes are coming. I believe in this team. They're gonna do well. So this brings me to point 2, where we saw a lot of interest on Twitch and a big spike in YouTube views for SPELLBREAK related content. Particularly on Twitch, we saw ridiculously high views, the highest views we've ever seen on SPELLBREAK. For it's been a minute since the last time we saw something this big for SPELLBREAK. According to Twitch metrics, we averaged a little bit under 17k views for the day, which is nice. Which is good for a release date game. And we peaked at about 64k, around 64k views according to Solely Gnome. I know these numbers aren't the most accurate, but they at least tell us one thing, that the interest for SPELLBREAK is there and it's rising. And even if you look at Google Trends predicts that SPELLBREAK will overtake the peak numbers that Hyperscape ever received, which is huge because even though Hyperscape right now isn't doing so well, when it first launched with this open beta and then its official release, the hype for Hyperscape was crazy. People thought it was going to end Apex career. Obviously it didn't, but to see that SPELLBREAK is on the trajectory to surpass Hyperscape is a great news, especially since those are both 2 new games that came out, and they came out in 2 different ways and whatnot. So that's great news. So in summary, point number 2 was all about exposure, and that's what you want on your release date. You don't want a dead game on release date, and they were able to get that exposure. And speaking of not having a dead game on release date, one of the big factors for that is in point number 3, where we talk about cross progression and cross platform party play, which was achieved. And this is amazing as well because me personally, I have a lot of friends who are stuck in the PlayStation ecosystem, and it's just nice to know that we have the option, me personally, that I don't have to dust out my PlayStation, plug it in so I can play with my friends. They can play on their PlayStation and I can play on my PC and have a great time all together. And of course, this helps with the player base as well, especially when they get the whole aim assist thing figured out. I'm sure cross party and all that stuff will be sorted out eventually. So the player base, and once that gets sorted out, we won't have to worry about the bots as much as as much as we are. PC not so much, but I know on console, especially during like down times when the game is not like that much populated, bots could be frustrating. Me personally, I like them because they drop the loot and they kind of solve the RNG problem that SPELLBREAK is slightly facing, just like a lot of other battle royales face as well. But that's a story for another time. That's a story for another time. So point number 4, I would like to say, is that SPELLBREAK gave us a lot of free things. And I don't know about you, but I like the cost of free. Not only is the game free, but they gave us free in-game currency and like a buttload of free in-game currency that we can get. Crazy, which is fantastic for a game to do. And we also got a lot of cool outfits, which in my opinion kind of offsets the trash shop that we've been getting. I know that they said that they are the reason why we're getting like trash outfits and stuff and cosmetics in the shop was because they're testing the shop, which is kind of weird. It just kind of lets you know that maybe they weren't fully ready to release this game, but for whatever the reasons, I'm just happy to be able to play Spellbreak, especially with the Gloom outfit that they gave away for free, and the Marauder outfit for exclusively for PlayStation Plus players. Now for my final take. During downtime, I always said this game needed an open beta, and that's basically what we got on launch, an open beta. And you know what? I don't really care. This version of Spellbreak is a lot more fun to play than a lot of other games out there. Yes, it has a lot of bugs, balance issues, and they limited a lot of the game's features. And I also believe that it's fair to expect the game's official release to run more smoothly and better than its closed beta, which it didn't for a lot of players. I really wish they had an open beta beforehand, or at least marketed the release date as an open beta. I know a lot of Xbox players told me, well, a couple of Xbox players told me that Spellbreak's labeled as a game preview, which is their version of an open beta. But I'm just happy to be playing the game, to be honest with you. I personally have full confidence that they will fix a lot of these problems and issues eventually. But even with these problems, I'm still having a blast playing the game, which a lot of other players are as well. And for the people who can't really play this game due to poor optimization or the bugs, all I can say is that I feel your pain. I was in a playtest the week before the game started, and I had a miserable experience trying to get content as a content creator. This was mainly due to the fact that I had the problem of the video setting qualities always resetting to ultra, and which led me to report the bug, of course, and then upgrading my potato PC. So all I have to say to those people experiencing similar issues is that just enjoy the parts of the game you can, and believe that this small yet growing team at Proletariat can and will fix these problems, because I'm sure they will. They've been delivering a lot for us as a community. They constantly are hearing what we need, and they're delivering. They delivered a lot through closed beta as well. That's all I have to say. Next video will be something for new players, which is coming Sunday. Stay safe, stay blessed. King Kaizen signing out. Y'all have a nice one.